Do you tend to make mistakes while you are comparing people, place, animal, thing, while you're describing something with the help of an adjective? Well, if you are confused whether to use a good or a better, whether to use easier or more easier, then you need to join me in this lesson where we shall review comparatives and superlatives. I am Pooja Sharma, your English trainer, and you are watching Education Point. Now let's begin. So what are comparatives and superlatives? As discussed, these are a special type of adjectives. They are used when you want to compare two or more things. Now let's specifically talk about comparative adjectives. These are words used to describe a noun by comparing it to another noun. But when talking about superlative adjectives, these are words which are used to describe a noun when comparing the two or more nouns to the highest or lowest degree. So here we shall start with one-syllable adjectives, in which we shall study comparative forms and superlative forms. So comparative and superlative forms of the word for the most basic one-syllable adjectives, here we add an ER for the comparative forms and an EST for the superlative forms. Example, we have these three adjectives: tall, short, and fast. Now, if you want to figure out the comparative form of tall, you just need to add an ER to it, which makes it taller. And for the superlative form, you will have to add an EST, which makes it tallest. Similarly for short, shorter, shortest. Fast, faster, fastest. So this is the most basic kind of a one-syllable word. I'm sure you know what is a one-syllable word. Syllable is basically a unit of pronunciation which has one vowel sound. Okay, now this can be with or without a surrounding consonants, which forms the whole or a part of the word. So here, one syllable word means there's only one unit of pronunciation, which is tall, short, fast. Let's frame a few sentences for a better understanding. So when we use it as comparative adjectives, we say, I am faster than my friend. So here I am comparing my pace with my friend and I'm saying that I am faster than my friend. And that is why we have used an ER with the adjective fast. Similarly, Samir is shorter than Kabir. Now let's have a look at superlative adjectives. She is the tallest student, which means here we are comparing that one girl with all the other students in the class and saying that she is the tallest among all. That was the shortest movie in the series. Again, we are using an EST after the adjective to show that this is a superlative adjective where we are comparing to its degree. Moving on to two-syllable words. Now here under two syllables, you will have words which have two units of pronunciation. Under comparative adjectives with two syllable, you have to just add an ER at the ending, or you can also add words like more or less before the adjective. Talking about superlative adjectives, you can make the EST ending but use the word most or least instead of more or less, like in the superlative adjective. We have some adjectives like happy, lucky, friendly, shallow, and gentle. Under comparative forms, you just have to add an ER here, which makes it happy, happier. Under superlative form, it comes as EST, which is happiest. Similarly for lucky, it's luckier, luckiest. Friendly, friendlier, friendliest. Shallow, shallower, shallowest. Gentle, gentler, gentlest. Now let's frame a few sentences under this. For comparative adjectives, she tends to be less passive than her brother. Less passive than her brother. So you are adding a word less to compare the adjective between the two nouns. This quiz is simpler than the last one. The streets are narrower here than in my city. So you see, when we saw the adjective passive, we had to add the word less there because we can't add an ER after passive and make it passivier. because that does not form any word. But when we have words like simple, we can add an er and make it simpler. Similarly for narrow, which becomes narrower. Now talking about superlative adjectives. Fall is the busiest shopping season. The happiest moment in my life was when he said he loved me. The friendliest girl on my team is Nina. So that is how we describe the superlative adjectives. Now, like every other grammar rule, superlative and comparatives also have some exceptions. So let's understand those as well. We have a handful of some irregular adjectives that do not follow the rules as stated above. Here, if you have the adjective good, the comparative to it would be better and the superlative to it would be best. Similarly, bad, worse, worst. Little, less, least. Many or much, which goes with the comparative form of more and most. Let's see a few sentence construction here. I did better than the rest of my class on the final. She ran farther in this race than she did in the last one. John's been better than he used to be. So here you see how we are comparing these adjectives and trying to describe who is better, who is best, who is farther, etc. Talking about superlative adjectives, that was the best birthday present ever. The superlative being best. I bought the least expensive souvenir that I could find. Least is the superlative adjective here. This is the worst movie I've seen. Worst being the superlative adjective here. So with this, we come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you could understand what comparatives and superlatives are and how there are certain exceptions which have to be kept in mind. With this, we can conclude this lesson, hoping that you could take home some learnings out of it. Thank you so much for being here, and if you enjoyed watching, do consider to like, share and subscribe to the channel.